If you feel stuck in a 9-to-5 job and you're like how I was 2 years ago, when you know you want more, but you don't know how to actually get out of the 9-to-5, how do I actually leave the 9-to-5, build a remote income? I see all these other people on YouTube doing it and you want to slice. This video is a step-by-step breakdown showing you exactly how you can achieve a remote online income step by step. If you can't sit here, bro, for 25 to 30 minutes, you're cooked and I can't help you. Get your ego out, get the notebook out, let's lock the fuck in, bro. Let's get it, man.
So, how do you use your 9-to-5 to actually go ahead and build an online income, right? So if you're watching this right now, let me guess, you're probably working a 9-to-5 job, you got a little side hustle that's making you some money, or you're not even there yet, and you want to be able to have a fully remote online income to enable you to move abroad, travel the world, and at least quit your 9-to-5 job, right? So let's talk about it, and what the hell have I actually been able to do myself, and how did I use and leverage my past 9-to-5 experience to be able to move abroad at the tender age of 22 years old, right? So the 9-to-5, people often look at the 9-to-5 and think to themselves, the 9-to-5 rat race, is it a trap? Is it not a trap? Da, 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 da. Or could you be someone like myself who understands that the 9-to-5 essentially is not what you want to be doing for the rest of your life, but rather than powering it off and saying that it's all a scam, it's this, that, and the third, how can you be able to seek and take value from it by changing your mindset to see the 9-to-5 or your corporate experience as a training ground, right? Is the 9-to-5 a trap? Right? Are you here? Are you stuck? Are you like, oh, I hate my 9-to-5 job, da 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 da? Or are you changing your perspective to look at this 9-to-5 job as an experience for you to take back as many skills as possible that you're learning, or should I say getting paid to learn in your job, so you can use those skills you're learning in order to build an online income for yourself and really plan your exit and plan your escape, right? So 9-to-5, is it a trap or is it a training ground? Yeah, let's get into it. Cool. So where was I actually at in my 9-to-5? So I've mentioned this in previous videos, but just to give you a bit of a reminder, right? I was working in corporate for 2.5 years. I started working in corporate when I was 19 years old. I was working for a sales apprenticeship. I was getting paid about 19 grand a year. Not sure how much that is per month after tax, but you know, we're getting fucked same way. Cool. In this first 9-to-5 job that I had, I was doing it for about 3 months working in a sales role before I went on to work as an exec basically for a media company. This is a picture of me like 2 months after I started at the media company. Scruffy, didn't know anything about corporate life. This is where I was at in my 9-to-5. I was working in my 9-to-5 corporate career, lasted for 2.5 years as I've mentioned. And during this 9-to-5, there were so many different emotions, feelings and thoughts that I had, but the one that stayed with me for the whole duration of my 9-to-5 was me just feeling hungry, right? I wanted to work a 9-to-5 job, as we all do, especially as young men, because I'm fucking hungry, bro. Because I wanted to make money. It's just really simple, bro, right? I'm living at home with my mum. My mum's telling me I now got to start paying rent and, you know, start helping out with the food and the groceries and this, that, and the third. I've just got myself a car. Status and egos went up. I need to be able to maintain that. Want to buy nice clothes. I need some fucking money, right? So what do? We're getting a job, right? I was hungry, bro, and the only reason I was working this 9-to-5 job, like most people, is because I was hungry and I wanted money. That's literally it, right? I decided at a very young age, when I first started this second role, so this proper job working in big corporate, I was in central London, that in order for me to really get as much back from this job or from this corporate stage of my life, I need to commit myself to skill stacking, right? And really becoming a sponge. And I'm even gonna underline this and put this shit in bold because it's so important, bro. So many of you, if you're working a 9-to-5 job, you do not understand how much potential you have to skill stack in your job right now and use the skills you've got in your 9-to-5 job to make you an online income. For example, did you know, change your mindset, go back to over here as you saw, the 9-to-5, you should be looking at this shit as a training ground and using all that hate you have for your 9-to-5 job as fuel to get out and to get out right blood clot now, right? You need to use your 9-to-5 job and corporate experience to skill stack and stack skills for free that you're getting taught by your manager, by your team, whatever, to pass probation, whatever it could be, and become a sponge and soak in all of that knowledge and ask yourself and change your mindset. How can I use this knowledge that I'm learning in my 9-to-5 job? How can I use this to make some extra money outside, right? My mindset as soon as I went into this 9-to-5 job was, cool, if I'm getting paid 2K, so when I, landed this role, I was now getting paid 2K a month, right? If I'm getting paid 2K to work and bust my ass for 30 days, right? And have 2 days of a week to chill out, right? And I'm going into central London 3 to 4 times a week. I'm spending like £15 a day just on transport, right? I need to be able to at least get something back I need to get some leverage back from the skills I'm learning or getting paid to learn whilst I was working in my corporate job. And this is where most people get it wrong, right? So we're over here. I decided to skill stack and become a sponge. If you work in a job right now, you need to become a sponge and ask yourself, what skills am I learning or being paid to learn in my job, and how can I use that shit to make an extra 1K online, to make my first £5,000 online, because it's possible. I saw my 9-to-5 job as a training ground so that I could take more value back from it. Matter of the fact is, if you're watching this right now, bro, you, my G, watching this, you know, on your TV, whatever, pausing, unpausing, whatever, whilst you got fucking your phone out with Snapchat on that bitch, right? If you're watching this right now, you are working a 9-to-5 job, and you need to start to ask yourself, outside of the time that I'm giving, right, to my job, and outside of the money that my job gives me at the end of the month or the last working day of the month, what other things can I get back from this job? What's the point of you working in a job if it's just going to be transactional and linear value exchange, aka you work, you give hours, so you give time, and you only get money back? That is such a basic level way. You need to stop thinking like that, stop thinking like a bot, and start asking yourself, other than the money I'm getting at the end of the month, what other things can I take back and receive from my 9-to-5 job? Because there's so many things that you can take from your 9-to-5 job to enable you to start to break out of that and build a remote online income. And I'm going to get through it in this video, right? Leverage. You need to change your mind and start to look at your job like leverage. How can I give a certain amount of inputs? Because the main input you're giving if you're working a 9-to-5 job, even if you're working as a fucking welder, laborer, it doesn't matter. If you're working a job, right, the main input you're giving is time. You're just putting time. That's all it is. You're doing, you know, mundane tasks, spreadsheets, admin, couple calls, emails, whatever. Time. You're just giving away time. One linear value exchange, and the only thing you're getting as a return on that time that's invested is a check. At the end of the month is money, right? The average 2K a month, less than that, a little bit more than that, whatever. That is it. You need to start to change your mindset and change your mind to think like an entrepreneur who would think to himself or themselves, how can I get more outputs based off of the same inputs I'm putting in? I'm going to show you some examples. For me, I quickly thought to myself, if I'm coming into this job and coming into the office and 2 days working from home, I'm really just giving my time. I'm just a number. I'm really just a bot, right? I'm just a number. What more can I get back from my company other than them paying me on the 24th of every month or the 27th or whenever it was of every month, bro? How can I get more than the typical linear value exchange from this corporate company that I'm investing all of my time in? Right? If you're working a full-time job, you're working 40 hours a week, and for them 40 hours, you're only getting paid £2,000, bro, right? Which we all know, because you've been subscribed and been watching my video, you can get paid that in a 30-minute call with a Stripe link, on a Google Meets, on a Zoom, in person. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So how can you start to leverage your job that you're working in and get more things back from it, right? This is exactly how you need to think, and I'll show you exactly what I did. I used to do weekly team meetings in my job. So let's go back a second, yeah? When I was working in this job, to paint a bit of a better picture, I was working as a media exec, so just basically like a glorified admin, bro, like running around for my boss and doing all the tasks that he/she didn't really want to do, right? So I was doing a lot of PowerPoint presentations, I was doing a lot of prepping, I was doing a lot of data entry, I was doing team meetings, but towards the start of my career, around this time, I wasn't really doing much team leading, right? That only really came after about 6 months when I kind of had to do it because my manager said that I wouldn't get a promotion until I did this shit. So I had to learn how to do public speaking besides the point. So public speaking skills I did, right? Presentation skills I did. With public speaking, what comes as a byproduct? Better communication skills, which I did. Data entry, Excel, normal shit, normal admin type shit that anyone entry level would do in their role, right? So where are we? I used to do weekly team meetings every single week, right? Several times a week, as we normally do, in-person meetings. You know, you're typing away, you got your camera on or camera off, and you're on mute, you're not really listening, whatever, right? So what I did is I asked myself, right, if I'm going to be doing weekly team meetings, that, as I mentioned, I eventually began to lead these team meetings several times a week, myself presenting, myself pitching, doing public speaking, right? Leverage to start to think like an early stage entrepreneur. Other than me just doing these team meetings and getting a good pat on the back and a thumbs up emoji on the fucking Teams app from my manager, what else can I get back from this skill? This is a specific skill. Me just doing team meetings is not just me doing team meetings. This is a skill which is I'm doing public speaking. I'm doing public speaking. I'm increasing this specific skill which is communication skills. What other things can I get back from doing this, right? So I turned it into mastering the skill of public speaking and communication, right? Which turned from me working my 9-to-5 job and just being like this, scruffy, making 2K a month, to me leveraging that skill. And I eventually was able to get flown out to different countries from my same 9-to-5 job to exercise that skill. And I was able to start getting more returns on the time I've invested into mastering this specific skill, right? As you can see over here, I turned it into mastering the skill of public speaking and communication. I won a TEDx talk at age 21, literally, as you can see over here, right? All from the one linear skill of public speaking and communication, which I got paid to learn from my 9-to-5 job. Most of you right now are working a 9-to-5 job and not understanding that not only are you getting paid, cool, fuck 9-to-5s, like you don't want to work a 9-to-5, whatever, you want to build an online business and move to Bali, cool, we'll get there, yeah? But you need to understand that your 9-to-5 job enables you to have so many skills that you're not utilizing, bro. If it wasn't for my 9-to-5 job, I wouldn't have been able to move abroad. If it wasn't for my 9-to-5 job, I wouldn't be running an online business with my business partner now, because a lot of the foundationary skills I've learned to run a business, I was taught in my 9-to-5 job: public speaking, delegation, presentation, leadership, right? I won a TEDx talk at 21, and this was the same skill that I started using in order to be here talking to you on your fucking LG TV right now to go and create content, bro, right? If it wasn't for this skill I'd learned for free, actually it wasn't for free, I got paid to learn this in my job, team meetings, public speaking, communication, right? I wouldn't have been able to make content, right? I first built my personal brand on LinkedIn, documenting my journey and making content. Then it was on TikTok, right? Me talking about how to go and become a corporate Gen Z, blah, blah, blah. These were all skills that I had learned in terms of how I did this skill, right? Content was something that I learned initially from understanding first how to master public speaking and having good forms of communication and being able to articulate myself in the right way. I learned that in my 9-to-5 job. So if it wasn't for me being here, right, and using my 9-to-5 job as a training ground and using my 9-to-5 job as a field that I can train, you know, Dragon Ball Z, we got the hyperbolic time chamber, bro. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You go there to train and level up, bro, max out them stats. So you need to ask yourself, in my 9-to-5 job right now, what skills do I have at my disposal that I'm choosing to not max out? And again, I'm going to get onto this in a second. How can I use these skills in my 9-to-5 job to get more returns on the things that, on the time that I'm investing into these skills anyways, bro? Take it out of a linear format and ask yourself, how can I get more outputs for the same amount of inputs, bro? If I didn't master the skill of public speaking, good communication, and team leadership and presenting, which I did on a team meets 3 times a week with my team in my job, I would never have been able to win a TEDx talk at age 21, right? Or I would have never been able to get flown out to Norway to speak in a theater in front of 400 people, simply because I had to master the skill that I got paid to do in my 9-to-5 job. I'm not here advocating for 9-to-5 job, bro. You need to get out of that shit yesterday. But what I'm saying is that so many of you don't understand that you're sitting on a gold mine of a lot of skills at your disposal that you could really use and transition into helping you make money online. But you're not looking at them as skills, so you're looking at them as a linear value exchange. I just give my time, I just get my money. No, I give my time and I get back money and I get back skills, and I'm going to use them skills to go and make more money. That's how you need to think and change your mindset to thinking if you want to break free from your 9-to-5 job and use your 9-to-5 job to go ahead and actually make an online income. So why I began to look for ways out. Oh, Ty, but you was working a job and you was doing all right, and you know, TEDx talk and you know, public speaking, why did you want to go and quit? Right? The reason why I decided to go and quit my 9-to-5 job, despite me dedicating 2 years of my life to building up this career, whatever, right, is because I realized, as I said, 9-to-5 jobs merge all of your collective skills but give you a linear reward, right? When you work a 9-to-5 job, there's a whole list of different skills. Imagine it like a team. You've got your team of 11, your starting 11, your football team, right? And all of those 11 team players, regardless of them being defense, one of them's good at attacking, one of them's a really good dribbler, one's a banging striker, all you can do is score goals, right? 9-to-5 jobs give you so many different skills, but they only pay you in a linear manner. One way you get a return on the investment for your skills that are collected. Does that make sense? So for all the skills you have, public speaking, delegation, team management, negotiation, sales, persuasion, comprehension, you only get paid. That's it, right? Why would you want to do that and only get paid once? Matter of fact, whole collection of skills that you have, which balls up into being called your full-time job that you give 40 hours a week to, doesn't make sense. All of them skills that you have, that I've just mentioned a couple of them, only allowed me to get paid 2K per month, regardless of the fact that I'd won a TEDx talk, regardless of the fact that I'd mastered public speaking, regardless of the fact that I got flown to Norway to do international speaking. I was still getting paid 2K on the 27th of the month. So was it really worth it? And how much return was I getting on that investment? And when I started to understand the beginner foundations of entrepreneurship and changing my mind frame to understand leverage, it made me question, what outputs am I getting for the same amount of inputs I'm doing? And why is it that I'm only, recognizing one output, which is money, which is just one check, which is not even enough. I'm not getting paid nowhere near as much as I deserve to be paid for the amount of value and skills I'm bringing and plugging into this business. For me to get paid 2K per month is modern day slavery, bro. I'm not doing that, right? So I quickly understood the only way out was for me to go and create an online income for myself. So I went back to the skills I learned from my job. The main thing you need to take away from this video is, what skills are you actively doing and inputting into your 9-to-5 job? You probably got about 13 different skills that are merging into your 9-to-5 job, and you're only getting paid one way, one time, 12 times a year, based off of all these skills you're combining into one. It doesn't really make sense. The actual value is lopsided and it doesn't make sense, and you're not accurately getting paid or remunerated based off the actual value you're providing to the company, based around the skills that you actually are learning or doing every single day to make up your 9-to-5 job. Ask yourself, and this is what I did, right? What skills do I actually have? What hobbies do I have? And what interests do I have? And how can they make me money outside of my 9-to-5 job? Some of you probably watch this thinking, oh, but what do you mean? What's this mad formula or equation, bro? This is free game, bro. And I'm telling you, if you do not take this shit and use this shit, G, you're gonna stay in your 9-to-5 job, right? And you're gonna keep seeing all these other YouTubers pop up on your screen, living a life that you wanna live, and you're gonna keep subscribing and watching them vicariously because you ain't got the balls to go and do what's needed to get you to where you wanna be, bro. Simple, real, yeah? Skills, hobbies, and interests, right? Let's lock in. If you work in an entry-level job, 9-to-5 job, I can't talk for you guys who are doing labor jobs. Go watch my interview I did with one of my boys on my network, Joe. He did that. I didn't do that, right? I worked in an office in central London, right? So if you work in an entry level or exec type 9-to-5 job, 9-to-5 role that is heavy admin based, right? You have all of these different skills, because I had all of these different skills. Communication skills, presentation skills, team leadership, delegation skills, reasoning, comprehension skills, Excel knowledge, sales, persuasion, design, which is building PowerPoints and presentations, right? And so many more, right? All of these skills you have, can't even count, 2, 4, 6, 8, there's about 9, 10 if you put these into 10 skills here. And for these 10 skills, you only get paid once. That don't make sense. How could you build me such a crazily tasty burger and tell me that I've only got one sauce with that, bro? It doesn't make sense at all. How are you telling me that for all of these 10 skills combined into one, I'm only getting paid one way, one time per month? The value's not making sense, bro. For all of these skills that I'm plugging into my job, my 9-to-5 job, the way that I'm getting remunerated for this does not make sense. Something is missing here. And I quickly realized that because I asked myself, right, how can I be doing all of these skills and only get paid in one way for all of these skills I'm bringing to the table? Doesn't make sense. So what I started to do is I started to ask myself, what skills that I have over here could I actually use on my own regard outside of my 9-to-5 job to make some money, right? All of these skills, how can this specific skill of communication, how can that make me money? Even if it's £100, right? For the reasoning skills, for the delegation skills or team leadership, is there a way that I could use my team leadership in a different realm and close a client for £1,500 a month, right? And now I've just made 75% of my full-time income off of one call for one client, exercising one skill that is one of 15 or one of 10 skills that I did in my current 9-to-5 job. When you start to change your mindset and take off the wall of, oh, I work a 9-to-5 job, and ask yourself, no, I only get paid once for this collection of 12 different skills that I have, you will understand that there's a significant value. It doesn't make sense, bro. It does not make sense. So what I did myself, what did you actually do, Ty, yeah, Mr. Blondie? What I did, communication skills and presentation skills. These two skills made me my first £500 outside of my 9-to-5 job in 60 minutes, right? How did I do that, right? Me posting and documenting through content That is a skill I'd learned, because all content is, again, is just communication, confidence, and public speaking. You're just talking to a phone instead of 20 people. All it was me posting consistent content, right? Documenting my journey. And again, the content is a manifestation of these skills, public speaking and communication. And because I built a personal brand, someone at a school, the London School of Economics in the UK, right, a university, reached out to me and asked me to deliver a keynote speech for 1 hour, right? Remember, I learned this skill of public speaking and communication from team meetings, bro, on Microsoft Teams in my 9-to-5 job. You know, my manager's asking me how my day is, keying up, she's drinking fucking coffee and shit, all this nonsense, right? This specific skill that I'd learned, right? Because I didn't have the balls to do it at the start. Remember, me back here, 2021, look at me. You can just tell, look at me, weak. You know what I'm saying? Yeah? The skill that I learned at this stage in my life, public speaking, confidence, communication, right? I'd use to go and post content. The content was my marketing tool to go and show other people that I'm a young guy who at the time was working in corporate, who was being a kind of Gen Z thought leader, whatever, helping other people climb up the ladder in corporate. So an institution reached out to me and said, we will pay you £500 to come in and speak to all of our students for 1 hour. 1 hour, go build a deck, talk to the students. I was 22 speaking to a bunch of 19-year-olds, right, in some international university, the London School of Economics, and I got paid £500. Obviously, this stage of my life, I would never do a public speaking event for £500, right, because I know my value. However, this was my first way that I was able to make any sort of money from the skills I've got paid to learn. Because remember, my manager had forced me to get better at meetings, bro. It wasn't something I did by choice. But they paid me to learn these skills, and I took the same skill from my 9-to-5 job, and I went to go and make 25%, right? 25%, where are we? Of my monthly income, right? Off of using 2 skills in 60 minutes. What all of these collective 12, 10, 9 skills had only paid me £2,000 bunched up in one. And me picking them apart and being able to leverage those skills, I got paid 25% of what I'd make in 31 days in 60 minutes from using not even 30% of the skills I'd bring to my 9-to-5 job. This is why you need to quit your 9-to-5 job, and this is why you need to understand how to make money outside of your 9-to-5 job. This example is obviously not online. I didn't make this online, I did it in person. But this was the first way I was able to make money genuinely, right, outside of my 9-to-5 job. And technically it did come from online. Cool, the delivery mechanism was not online, it was an in-person speaking engagement, so I did it in person with these people. But if it wasn't for my social media, which was content I posted online, I wouldn't have been found, I wouldn't have been reached out to, because that was all because of my TikTok content at the time and my LinkedIn content at the time. Because on TikTok I was posting content like this, right?
Roll out my company. I started my company 2 years ago when I was 19, fresh from college, was working as like an entry-level media executive, doing a lot of like branded content and partnerships, basically project management.
Right, you lot can go watch that on your own time, right? I literally got, you know what I'm saying? You can't even make this shit up, bro. Yeah? Literally, if I wasn't posting content online, I would never have been able to go and make, right, 25% of my income across 1 month in 1 hour. Just simply through me leveraging and using these skills, right, to go and make money. It's cool. So what else did I do? So these 4 skills, communication skills, presentation skills, sales and persuasion, and design PowerPoints. These 4 skills made me my first £5,000 in my first personal branding program. About 5, 6 maybe months into me moving abroad, when I was in Thailand, I had already built up my personal brand, right? And I started to coach people and teach people. I launched my first program called Creator Currency, teaching people how to gain traction on their social media and how they can build up their first offer and sell to their audience monetization from their content, right? And I literally charged $750 for one-to-one programs for like 6 weeks, and I sold 7 of them. I got 7 clients, right? And that's how I made my first £5,000 from 4 skills that I had learned. Where did I learn these skills? Cool, I still watched the Alex Hormozy and the sales and brushed up on my knowledge, of course, right? But design PowerPoints and building a Canva deck, sales and persuasion, I learned those foundations in my 9-to-5 job. Remember, my first role at 19 was in a sales apprenticeship doing 200 calls dialing as what I would call now an SDR, right? I built on these skills, but the initial foundation, where did I learn these? Thank you. In my 9-to-5 job. Now can you understand, and now starting to come together, these skills that I learned in my 9-to-5 job is what I used and leveraged in order to make money online. So if you're stuck working a 9-to-5 job, you're not actually as stuck as you think, which will bring me on to my next point, because there's so many skills that you already have at your disposal which you're not leveraging to make more money outside of your 9-to-5 job. It is possible, right? It is very much possible. And if it wasn't for these 4 skills, I would have never been able to make my first 5K, right? Outside of my 9-to-5 job, delivering a program one-to-one. And all I did it on, or delivered it on, was on a Google Meets, which was just a differentiation from me doing it on Microsoft Teams when I was in my 9-to-5 job. It's the same skills I'd learned in my 9-to-5 job that I'm using for myself now, right? This is how you need to start to think and leverage, right? And ask yourself, how can I get more outputs of the same amount of inputs I'm putting into my 9-to-5 job? This is how you need to start to think if you actually want to know how you can go and move abroad. Not everyone's going to go and run a business. Not everyone's going to go and want to run an online business. Not everyone is going to want to go and launch their own program. I understand that, shush, right? But at the same time, bro, you are sitting on a gold mine of skills that you're not effectively putting to use, and then you're sitting here complaining while you're watching all these other YouTubers and wondering why you can't have a slice of the pie. And you can't be out here in Brazil with some Latinas, bro, when you know that you could be doing things right now to go and increase your income in order to do so. And you're just not doing that for whatever reason why, bro, right? It's not rocket science. You have enough skills in your arsenal today, before you clicked on this video, to make your first 2K online. Facts. If you work a 9-to-5 job, you already are equipped with enough skills, right, to be able to go and make your first 2K online, bro. Because as I've already mentioned to you, you can already see the amount of skills that you probably already have in your arsenal that you're just not sharpening. You're not sharpening that weapon, you're not using it, and you're wondering why you're sitting there, you know what I'm trying to say, with your face in your hand thinking, oh, how can I learn how to go and be able to quit my 9-to-5 job, right? It's not as difficult as you want it to be. The reason is, the raw truth, you don't start now, right? Because of one of 3 things. Let's just, boil it all the way down and call a spade and be 100% honest, right? The 3 reasons why, with the information you now know, you haven't done anything with it already, is because you're either stupid, arrogant, or lazy, right? This is just the truth. Because even me, when I was up here, before I turned into this person, right? When I was this person, I was a little bit stupid, right? But I was more so arrogant, because in this time in my life, in 2021, I was smoking weed, right? I thought I knew it all. And the matter of the fact is, if I thought I knew everything at this time in my life, which I actually think or thought that I did, I would not have been in that situation. If you'd asked me then, at that point in my life, Time, do you feel like you could go and sell something for £1,000 online? Time, do you feel like you know how to go and run your own business? I'd have been like, bruv, yeah? What are you talking about, G? You know, I'm just saying bullshit, right? That's speaking from ego. Because the matter of the fact is, if I did know how to go and do those things, I wouldn't have been there with my shitty iPhone XR and my Dell laptop taking a picture in this mirror on the 4th floor of my building I used to work at. True, facts. Uncomfortable, but it's just the truth. If I knew everything I thought I knew back then, I would not have been in that position, right? So sometimes as men, we got to humble the ego and look for the lesson, right? Which brings me on swiftly to my point now. You don't know how to start because you are either one of 3 things: stupid, arrogant, or lazy. You could be there sitting there thinking, oh, I don't know what to do, which is BS, because you've now watched this far in a video, so you know exactly what to do, bro. Let's not lie, you know what to do, yeah? So you're not stupid. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You are not stupid, my friend, because if you were stupid, you wouldn't have watched this video, right? So your mindset already thinks a certain type of way. You do know what to do, so you cannot be stupid. Perhaps you're arrogant. Perhaps you're like old Tyvelli, who thinks, I already know what to do. And I'm here to tell you, you don't know what to do. Because if you did know everything you needed to do, bro, you would have already done it and had or achieved the thing that you wanted to do. You clicked on this because you want to know how you can go and create a remote income online to enable you to move abroad, bro. And the matter of the fact is, you do not know as much as you think you do, bro. Humble your ego, look for the lesson. When I was, that picture I just showed you, I had to humble myself to understand that I actually don't know as much as I think I do, because the way my life is right now is a physical manifestation of the amount of knowledge that I have in my brain right now. Knowledge about action is not power, right? The fact that you are in a position thinking that you know, maybe you probably don't, but even if you did know, right? The fact that you're not taking any action shows that you don't actually know what to do to make that knowledge you have in your head and turn it into some form of tangible power to actually change your situation or change your life or get you out of that 9-to-5 job that you're in. So do not be arrogant, right? Most people are just fucking lazy, bro. Oh, I'll start tomorrow. Oh yeah, I said I'm gonna do outreach, bro, dude. Shut up, bro. right? Let's be all the way real, bro. Life is a competition, G, and every single thing you want to do in your life, bro, if you're watching this right now because you're planning on moving abroad at the end of the year, bro, I'm telling you that we can both go on TikTok right now and go and find some random Donny from fucking Sheffield, bro, right? Or if you're watching this from the States, from fucking Chicago, right? Illinois, who's on TikTok right now talking about how they're packing up and moving to Thailand. You know how many Thailand warriors you're seeing on social media right now, or people moving to Bali, South America, wherever, right? People are moving abroad because they found out how to create an online income. That next client that you want to go and sell to, somebody else wants to go and sell to, bro. That first 5K per month, right, which is going to come from you setting or you getting an online sales role, someone else is in competition with you right now who you don't know, who's chasing that outcome and result the same as you, bro. You cannot afford to be lazy, bro, because the matter of the fact is, bro, let's look at it. For me being a 9-to-5 beginner wagey, right? Wagervelli, right? For me being over here, Wagervelli, yeah? 9-to-5 beginner wagey in 2021 with my scruffy Primark tee, right? This was me. Same iPhone XR, we've upgraded now, yeah? Me going from this stage of my life to learning, transitioning, increasing my income and taking fucking action to becoming the remote entrepreneur that I am today. Sexavelli, because I'm a fucking sex bomb, right? For me to become this remote entrepreneur that I am today, right? This took me 4 years, bro. We're in 2025. Today literally is the 30th of April, right? 4 years to go from here to here. So for you to sit there lazy thinking, oh, I'm gonna start tomorrow, bro. Bro, you're a joke. You don't have as much time as you think you do, bro. So you better put some pep in your bumperclut step and you better get serious about the results that you claim you want and the life you claim you want to be living. Can you actually afford to be lazy? Knowing that you don't have time and knowing that there's other people who are literally in direct competition with you right now as we speak. The whole point of this video is to show you that you need to start to change your mind to think, how can I use my 9-to-5 job to go and create an online income? Because the matter of the fact is, your 9-to-5 job has equipped you with enough skills to at least make £2,000 online, bro, but you're not taking action, right? So you can either go the online business way and go and create an offer and sell that offer from the skills you probably have right now and from a problem you've already solved. I'm gonna make a separate video about that. Alternatively, you can get an online sales role, and that is literally like a path, an escalator to climbing up to achieving an online income, bro, right? There's people who literally make upwards of £5,000 a month, every single month, in an online sales role as a high ticket closer, an SDR, an appointment setter, so on and so forth, bro. Every route works. Each one of these 2 routes works, bro. Pick a lane and stick in that shit, right? Right now, we've got literal people inside of our network. So if you want to know how, and you understand that you do not have 4 years, bro, this took me 4 years. You do not have 4 years to wait, bro, right? So if you really want to know exactly how you can create an online income to be able to move abroad in the next few months, I suggest you join our network. Let's have a little look, right? Literally today, 30th of April, one of our boys, Leo, one of our members inside our network, closed 2 business partners for a total of 10.2k USD, 50% down, 50% in 30 days pumped. He made 5k USD in 1 day, right? That was probably off a 72-minute Google Meets call. And he sent 1 Stripe link and he got paid. Probably more than some of your monthly income right now, bro. This is not a flex. This is not a, oh, get pissed off. This is motivation, bro. If you want to be around real winners, this is just a random, this is just today. I literally woke up, took the yampy out of my eyes, brushed my teeth, and seen that Leo's made some fucking money, bro, and he's winning. Just like all the people inside of my network are winning, right? So if you want to join the winning team and you want to know exactly how you can create a remote income through online sales or through monetizing your content and building a business off the back of your personal brand, book in a call, check the link in my description, and let's get to work because you don't have time. See you in the next one. Love.